Hammers kind of day. From the Big Ten Conference, the Boilermakers, and from the SEC, the Bulldogs from the University of Georgia. And ever since this matchup was announced, this has been the topic of conversation. Drew Brees and Quincy Carter, certainly two all-star quarterbacks that next year, as I mentioned a moment ago, Mike, will be probably two of the front runners when we talk about the Heisman. They are both so good, though. What do they have to be careful of in this football game today?
Ron, they're both super accurate quarterbacks. They both throw the long ball well. Both opposing secondaries have given up a lot of yards. Just follow their progression. Don't try to get too much too quick.
All right, let's look on the other side of the football then. Which of the defenses, Georgia or Purdue, has got the greatest number of headaches?
Well, when you look at both defenses, both have headaches with these two quarterbacks. But take Georgia, for instance. Purdue likes to throw a lot of short passes, make the tackle right away. Don't give yards after the catch. On the other side of the ball, Georgia has two very good tight ends, Jennings and McMichael, and they'll be up against linebackers, so as a matchup that Georgia likes. Jasper Sanks is a big back, and he can give you the running game. Both teams like to draw the football, try to keep the defensive lines off balance. Whoever gets a running game going will help their quarterback.
Jim Donnan, head coach at the University of Georgia, fourth season, 31-15 his record. And across the way, Joe Tiller by way of Wyoming. Third season at Purdue, 25 wins. And by the way, this group of seniors, the first group of seniors at Purdue to play in 3 consecutive bowl games. Temperature 72 degrees, humidity at 70%. Forecast is clear. And the wind, well, just a little bit of a breeze. You can see that just minimal and will not really be anything of major consequence in this football game today. A lot of folks have come down here from the great state of Indiana. And a lot of folks have ventured down from the state of Georgia as well to see this matchup. And we are underway. The Outback Bowl 2000. Clopton will not return it. And let's check it on the sideline with Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
Ron, thanks very much and Happy New Year. You know, ever since November, Georgia's been trying to get over what could be the worst hangover in college football. Point is this. You lose to Florida, Tennessee, and Auburn, that's one thing. But when you're down by 17 points against Georgia Tech, your arch rival, then you scored 24 unanswered and still lose on the fumble that wasn't, well, to use Jim Donnan's words, we couldn't get to January 1st fast enough. I'm not going to say this is a must-win game. Jim says moments ago, if we're going to win this game, we have to take some chances, Ron. This is the best thing, or the closest thing to a must-win game Jim has seen in a long time.
Okay, Adrian, we look forward to hearing from you today. First play from scrimmage at the 20-yard line, and Brees throws on first down, throws it complete, and it'll be enough, I believe, for the first down. Randall Lane is the man who made the catch. Take a look at the starting lineups for Purdue. Only has one running back behind him, and that is Montrell Lowe. The receivers Stratton, the tight end, Sutherland, Daniels, and Randall Lane. And up front with the offensive line, Light, Merskowski, Niedrich, Ukobi, and Gorin. It is a gain of 10 and a first down on the very first snap by Purdue. Good block to the open field. This is Sutherland. Sutherland, 40, 45, and he'll take it out to midfield. 21 yards in the second play of the game by Purdue. Here's the defense for Georgia. Big group up front, and they are very good. Adrien, Stroud, Seymour. Evans gets the start. Dustin Luckey can play in the second half. You remember he had to sit out the second half of the Georgia Tech game because of the fight. He can play the second 30 minutes. Bailey, Bell, and Grant are the linebackers. And the secondary, Wansley and Henderson, they got their hands full at the corner. Chambers and Cap Burnett are the safeties. Gain of 5, and he'll take it down just inside the 45-yard line.
Ron, Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator of Purdue, wants to really affect Richard Seymour and Marcus Stroud, the two big defensive linemen. 295 pounds for Seymour, 300 for Stroud. And that's why you saw the reverse. You see it draw. They're trying to make sure these two defensive linemen don't tee off on Drew Brees. Give them a lot of action.
4 wide receiver set. Brown is the running back this time, and you see this is Grant coming on a blitz. Pumps it once, goes over the middle. That's incomplete. That's a great catch at the 32-yard line by Sutherland. Breeze actually threw it a little bit behind him. Boy, did he make a great adjustment. Gain of 13.
Vinny Sutherland is the speed receiver for Purdue. He runs track for Purdue. He plays second in the 60-meter dash in the Big Ten indoors. Man-to-man coverage by Georgia and taking a chance and going after Drew Brees. Good catch.
Jim Donnan talked at length with you and with me about, he said, we got to put pressure. We got to hit this guy some. But not many people have been able to
touched him yet.
That's right. Not many people have been able to do that this year. Stratton, the tight end, adjusts from outside. They bring him back in the block. Pumps it once, going to go deep. Got a man at the 5, and he overthrew him. Sutherland was there, and he had more than a step on the defensive back, Wansley.
Ron, you're exactly right on Tim Stratton, what they did on that play. Drew Brees looked over the defense. He saw he had man coverage, Wansley number 2, and so he brought Stratton back inside to block and to give him an extra blocker, kept him into the backside, pump faked, and tried to go for the bomb against Wansley.
Brees, 2 of 3, 24 yards. You see his number, 61% completion percentage, 21 touchdowns, 11 INTs. Rolls the pocket, now he's going to loft it to the end zone, and it is knocked away. Nice defensive play at the 2-yard line by Chambers.
Earl Chambers with a good job defensively. This is a whole revamped secondary by Georgia. Late in the season, they started very strong, 6-1, 1-3 in the last 4 games. Kevin Ramsey, the defensive coordinator, switched his secondaries late in the season.
Yeah, in fact, when we did them last against Tennessee, Robinson, Chambers, Mann, and Harris, they were all starters. Now they're second team, all playing in the nickel situations. Third down, 3rd and 10. Line to make is the 22. Chambers makes the tackle, gain of 17 yards, and when they got a 3rd and 10 with this offense, it's not a big thing to them.
Ron, they spread you all out. The offensive line does a nice job of keeping them off Drew Brees. He has a day and a half to throw this football. See him step up now, find the receiver, Tolbert, getting free over the middle, and first down. You've got to get pressure on Drew Brees.
This is the 8th play of the drive coming up. The ball just outside the 16-yard line of Georgia. Most teams, when they win the toss, they defer. Not Purdue. They wanted the football, but they won the toss. Blitz off the corner. Pressure is on, and there is a flag down. Whistles all over the place. Gives us an opportunity to tell you that the officials are from the Big 12 Conference, and Randy Crystal is the referee.
Umpires big today.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain first down.
Ron, the reason the umpire's big, JC Lineback, because of all the passing that's going to take place today, whether he sees holding or not. Both offensive lines done a nice job. Purdue's offensive line has only allowed 12 sacks this entire season.
So it's got to be a first down and 15, and your point's well taken, Mike. We'll keep an eye on JC and see how many flags he tosses today. Calls for holding. Pressure on the backside, didn't feel it. And Alexis Grant will record the first sack of the afternoon for Georgia. Now it's going to be 2nd down Purdue, and very, very long.
Came from the outside. Leonard is a true freshman in 1996 for Georgia, but credit the secondary because they get to do a good job of covering the quick routes of Purdue, which makes Drew Brees hold on to the ball a little longer. This would be big for Georgia. There's the 12 sacks. Throw another one in there.
Second fewest in the nation. That was a -8 on that play. Add the 5-yard penalty. They've got 2nd down at about 23. Well, that secondary for Georgia is toughed off. 15, almost 20 yards. Flag is down. Quick screen in the flat. Grant has the tackle. Now going to be shoved out of bounds at the 19, Chris James.
Number 28, Chris James, penalty flag on the play.
I guess against Georgia. A lot of penalties in the bowl games I've watched so far. Again, you have such a long layoff. And you practice mostly group practice and team practice. And you get away a little bit from fundamentals.
On the defense, it'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain second down.
Kevin Ramsey, the defensive coordinator, very, very good football coach. Came here from Tennessee, took over the defensive coordinator spot from Joe Kynes. Joe's the assistant head coach now, and both of them confer a lot. Joe Kynes has been a big help to Kevin Ramsey.
Kevin Ramsey probably said, hey, everybody's excited about a January 1 game, but I'm not having to get ready for a team like this, as Sutherland drops the football.
No, and the tough thing about it, Ron, is you're recruiting, too. And you're trying to recruit some defensive players as a defensive coordinator, and you're all over the country, and you're trying to get back to watch tape, and you're trying to do two things at one time.
Well, the interesting thing about Purdue and preparing for Purdue, knowing what they're going to do is one thing, but stopping them is another. Because every coach of every team that they play says they do the same thing in game number 11 that they do in game number 1, but come stop them.
And Georgia's got a good shot right here. They've got him in 3rd and long.
They need to take this ball down just inside the 6-yard line, and they're going to have another flag. They were offside. Throws it complete to Daniels. He is the leading receiver for this Purdue group. And although they picked up more yardage than 5, I think probably they're going to take the penalty and then make it a 3rd down at about, what, 13 or 14 yards. Evans is the man who jumped. He is the one who's replacing Dustin Luckey, who cannot play in the first half because of the fight against Georgia Tech.
Drew Brees doing a nice job on snap count.
Offside on the defense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain 3rd down.
Trying to, again, get a jump. Evans, the junior defensive end, 6'3", 275, trying to get pressure on Drew Brees. Jim Donovan's got to have a concern in this ball game. You know, the motivation of this Georgia football team. Lost a very difficult game to Georgia Tech. Adrian talked about that.
Now, the conversation that is going on is Georgia's defensive huddle broke the huddle with 12 men and then sent a guy off at the last second. Jacobs.
This may be a clock situation, too, Ron. I think they're resetting the clock. This is big for Georgia, coming off 1-3 in the final 4 ball games. Haven't played well on defense. Need a stop here. Expected man coverage, bringing Stratton back in.
Looks up the middle, throws his pass back, complete at the 2-yard line, and pushed back. It'll be 1st and goal, Purdue. Chris James, the receiver.
Ron, that's what happens when you tip off, whether you're coming with a blitz or not. Drew Brees is so smart in this offense. He knows this offense as well as...
Well, actually, they have placed the ball down at the 4-yard line, but it's 1st and goal for the Boilermakers. You see their numbers inside the 20 this year. 29 touchdowns and 14 field goals.
I'm sure Joe Kynes is going to get with his defense, and Kevin Ramsey is going to talk to him about not tipping it off. Down here with Drew Brees.
Short drop, quick look in, and he dropped it. Boy, hit Lane right in the hands with the football. He had gotten by Henderson.
Drew Brees is going to be a great pro quarterback. He's been a great college quarterback, a high school quarterback that threw for over 61% of his completions.
12th play of the drive. Started back at the 20-yard line after the touchback of the opening kickoff. Stratton readjust again. Daniels in motion. Pass to the touchdown. It's Daniels. And you see the lineman picking him up, and why he's so excited. He's from Clearwater, which is the next city over here.
Yeah, he's having a nice homecoming this whole week. They just ran an option route, a little arrow route with Chris Daniels. They have such a great chemistry of your great quarterbacks and receivers. They just know every move that you can make.
6'2", very rangy for a field goal kicker. Good pass, and he knocks it home. So let's take a timeout with 10:26 left in this opening quarter. And the Boilermakers take it 80 yards to score on the opening play, finishing off with Chris Daniels with a touchdown. Great spot. Purdue, great spot for them in the Georgia end zone. 7-0 as Drew Brees talks it over with the folks upstairs, and they almost made that ho-hum. Now, there was a penalty or two that...
Big penalty on Evans being offside that gave him another shot to go for that touchdown.
Milliken is the deep man. This is a very high and short kick. Patrick pass from around the 8-yard line.
This kind of game, you've got to answer scores. Here's the touchdown. Chris Daniels is going to come in motion. And what he's going to do, he's working against Orantis Grant. Once he plants, he now is going to work against this linebacker right here and then arrow back outside. Very difficult to stop that in the position Orantis Grant was in. He was too far inside.
That's a matchup that Purdue would like to get each and every time. Wide receiver on the linebacker. Quick pass back into the long side of the field. This is Edwards, and the speedster almost picks up a first down. In fact, he might have on the initial play. Let's take a look at the starters offensively for Georgia. Quincy Carter, and of course Patrick Pass and Jasper Sanks behind him. The receivers, there's some awfully good tight ends. Johnson also looked for McMichael. Both of those guys will catch a lot of balls today. Greer and Edwards, who you just saw. And up front with the offensive line, Miles Lucky in the middle as two tackles, Stinchcomb and Jennings. Well, both excellent. Stinchcomb made the freshman All-American team this year, along with 4 of his counterparts on this Georgia Bulldog football team. Maybe a yard. That's about it. David Nugent, the senior out of Collierville, Tennessee, made the tackle. As we take a look at those starters, Dinkins, Mitrione, Nugent we just talked about, and Adell. The linebackers, Odomfelds and Rose. And in the secondary, Hawthorne and Clopton gets to start today ahead of Dunnigan. Clopton had replaced Hawthorne when he was injured, earned himself a starting position, playing very well the last couple of games of the year. Beasley and Turner are the safeties for the Boyders. Quincy Carter option play. Got it blocked well, and it is knocked out of bounds by Fells, the linebacker.
Jim Donnan talking to him before the ball game, Ron. He said, I'm going to spread out Purdue. And I'm going to try. I figure I got better speed than Purdue has. I'm going to spread them out. I'm going to run more option plays with Quincy Carter, get him on the corner a little bit, and see if our speed can wear down Purdue's defense.
The two things that Brock Spack said the other day, the defensive coordinator for Purdue, they were worried about him spreading them out, and also the Georgia tight ends, right?
Tight ends are going to be big right here. Johnson, 48, McMichael, 86, because they're going to play against linebackers.
Short drop and a little miscommunication here. Greer, he was looking for him to run the short curl, and he had gone on downfield quite a few yards.
Quarterbacks, it's like a tennis match. You got to answer serve and now. And Quincy Carter, when Drew Brees takes his team right down the field and scores 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, it's important in this kind of ball game because it can be a high-scoring game to answer scores.
Third down. They need to take it to the 47-yard line. Purdue leads it 7-0. There's Sanks. Tell you what, he's close. I don't think he made it. Do you go for it this close, Mike? Or
they can track me. You don't want to give Drew Brees the ball at the 50-yard line.
So the first really major decision of the contest for either coach. I'll tell you what, they gave him a pretty good spot, though, because where that linesman came in from across the way, I thought he missed it by at least a yard. But now it looks like it's inside of yard, and they've asked for the change to come in.
Jim Donnan right now trying to figure out what he's going to do on 4th down if he goes for this play. He's got Quincy Carter, who's a big quarterback at 6'3", 223. It's a quarterback sneak type of area, and I think he's going to go for it. I would expect a quarterback sneak here with Quincy Carter. Smaller quarterback would say give it to somebody else. He's got size.
6'3", 6'3 and a half, almost 225 pounds. Boilermaker fans trying to liven up the defense here. And Mike's point is very well taken. You better pick this one up because you don't want Drew Brees with the football at the 50-yard line. They go with the pitch, and he is not going to have it. Good heavens, he's tackled for a 4-yard loss by Chris Clopton. Now, put a big mark by that one, particularly if the Boilers put it in the end zone. I'm amazed he didn't take it up the middle.
Well, I'm amazed that Quincy Carter didn't quarterback sneak it, but they tried to get outside of all the mess inside. Purdue ganging up inside. They felt Patrick Pass could get outside. A very good play by Chris Clopton. They ran up to the line of scrimmage. They hurried up. They tried to get Purdue not set. They had good blocks in the corner. Just a nice play by Chris Clopton. Now you give Drew Brees the ball inside the 50-yard line.
The two receivers to the top of your screen is Sutherland and Chris Daniels. Daniels, who caught the touchdown a moment ago. They fake that reverse to Sutherland, and then they throw to a wide-open running back who drops the football. And I'll tell you what, Wansley, as the flag is down, Wansley should have picked it off in midair and gone for a touchdown.
Flags is where there's usually holding in the secondary. Holding on one of these two teams.
Holding against the defense. That's interesting. Georgia was pointing toward Purdue. As we mentioned, Randy Crystal is the referee. Interesting that the alternate today.
Holding on the defense. The holding occurred on an eligible receiver. It'll be a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That was the call by Crystal. The alternate today is John Bible. And if you're a big college baseball fan, you've heard both of those names umpiring at the College World Series at Omaha for a number of years. A lot of these guys do two sports, football, basketball, or football and baseball.
Keep your eyes sharp.
But those two guys are awfully good at baseball also, Mike. See that secondary creeping up at the top of your screen. They go with the running play. This is Lowe. Lowe dragged forward by the tackler, who was Boss Bailey. And he's going to have a gain of about 6 yards. Adrian Karsten, what do you have for us?
Ron, that defensive holding call, unfortunately for Georgia, is the result of an adjustment they had to make in this series. The defensive backs have to play tighter on the Purdue receivers, especially the primary and secondaries. They know who they are, but they cannot give them 3 and 4 yards after they catch the ball. In effect, if they play them tighter, they will help out Seymour and Stroud up front as they rush Drew Brees.
Play them tighter, or you get the chance of a long ball.
Running again, this is Lowe. Going to fight his way almost to the 10-yard line. It's a gain of 17 as Henderson and Burnett made touchdown-saving tackles.
Ron, this play, the draw, 2 draws in a row, sending a message to Georgia. Don't get up the football field and pass rush Drew Brees. Montrell Lowe, the redshirt freshman, in his first start against Ohio State at 153 yards on 25 carries. So a very, very capable running back.
He's the leading rusher for the Boilers, 754 yards in the year, an average of 4.8 per try, and his longest, 43 yards. Chris Daniels in motion. Now they roll that pocket back to the short side. Wide open Daniels, touchdown number 2 for him.
Hit him with a draw, then you hit him with a draw fake. You get Drew Brees outside, and he has something with Chris Daniels. They have a great feel for each other. 109 receptions coming into this game with 5 touchdowns. He's got 2 more touchdowns tacked on, and Kevin Ramsey and the Georgia defense got a headache.
Dorsch to attempt the extra point, trying to put Purdue up 14-0 at the midpoint of his opening quarter. He missed it. He just pushed it off to the right. So it's 7:10 left in the opening quarter. Purdue, 2 offensive possessions. I have enough trouble with the question. I don't know. Pass and Milliken are the 2 deep men. He's got to be pretty excited with this start.
Now Georgia needs the answer here badly.
This kick is longer, and he will not return it. Milliken about 3 yards deep in the end zone. Coming up tomorrow night on ESPN, National Hockey Night for the Windy City. And
we're going to see an unbelievable play by Mike Rose, the linebacker, who really made that play happen for Purdue's defense.
Quincy Carter in the backfield and going to be dropped for a loss. Jasper Tanks can find no place to run.
Watch the fullback now here. Vernon Haynes, this is the 4th down play, along with Chris Coffin.
What you're saying is the lead blocker was
it was a good play. If Rose doesn't make the play, they've got a big game. Really concerned. If you're a Georgia football coach right now, you got to be concerned about the mental state of this football team. Ended up 1-3, lost a critical game to Georgia Tech. Fumble called. They just looked at them running out in the field. They talked a lot about Georgia Tech game. Jim Donnan, really a team that's a young football team too, Ron. I think the expectation level was too high. They started out 6-1. Tennessee was the only loss.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty, and remain 2nd down.
Loss on 1st down, and now the penalty as they started 2nd down. So it's 2nd, and what do we show here? About 17 yards for the first. That's 4 penalties for 25 yards against the Bulldogs. Quincy Carter got that middle screen working here. Greer will take it out to the 25, and he picked up a bulk of it right there. It's going to wind up being a 3rd down at about 5.5 after a gain of 12.
Michael Greer, the possession receiver for this Georgia football team. This was a big question at the start of the year. They lose Champ Bailey. He played a lot of receiver for him. Terrence Edwards was a quarterback, running back in the high school, defensive back, Washington County High School. So they didn't really have an established receiver at the beginning of this year other than Greer.
Right over the middle spot, and I'll tell you, he is not going to pick up the 1st down. That is a great tackle on Edwards by Beasley. Beasley just took him down one-on-one. Man, Kilgo to do the punting for the Georgia Bulldogs. Good driving spiral. Sutherland all the way back to the 19-yard line. And excellent coverage on the special teams by the Bulldogs. Number 2, Wansley, 51 yards on the punt and nothing on the return. So let's take a timeout. Welcome to the first game of the millennium, the Outback Bowl 2000. The Purdue Boilermakers and the Georgia Bulldogs. And if Georgia in this season has ever had a time that they need to come up with a big defensive stop, it's right here.
Big right now, Ron. They found out that Purdue's offense is Y2K compliant because they just keep moving down the football field. And they've helped them a little bit with penalties.
Breeze, 6 of 10, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cedric Brown is the lone setback with Breeze on this drive. It's either Lowe or Brown. That's the way they do it. Not at any time do they have 2 backs in the backfield, usually. Well, the umpire almost got run over on that one as Daniels made the catch. Daniels is having himself a heck of an afternoon as Wansley made the tackle.
You go back to what Adrian said at the start. When you lose your last football game to Georgia Tech in a controversial ball game, and you wear it, and you think about it. People talk about it all the time, and I think this ball club was affected by that ball game. Now you can say, well, that was 3 weeks ago, but it wears on you. They need you're right, they need a big play to snap them out of this.
Simple. The turnover, like the Wansley almost interception back there, because that was holding on that same play, so that would have been a race. But they just got to do something to wake everybody up. You see Breeze really upset with himself. A 25-second clock.
One of the few he's going to make today.
And he is really...
Prior to the snap, delay, 5-yard penalty, it remains second down.
A 333 for 63%, so he's an accurate guy. Always has been an accurate quarterback.
Here comes that option. Pitched at the last minute, pitched it out of bounds, away from the running back, and it may have been the best thing that he could have done. Lowe couldn't hang on.
He's smiling a little bit. Lowe would have got lit up.
The recipient.
Cap Burnett was in good shape on that.
And Cap is shaken up on the play. He is down at the 38-yard line. Well, we thought two things about this football game. All the time in the world. There's his first down. This time it's Chris James. 12 yards in the pass play, and they make it look very easy.
Ron, they clear out. They got a double cross. Both receivers on the same side are going to cross, and that's going to open it up as they come down. Chris James is the outside receiver, so what you have?
Chris James, 2 catches for the freshman out of Tampa. A total of 28 yards. Grant coming on the blitz, but they ran away from him. Here's Lowe. And Lowe with the flag coming from way downfield.
It looked like a hold on Georgia, or on Purdue. One of the wide receivers was holding one of the defensive backs. Wansley, number 2, was being held.
That's going to be the call.
Spun him around like a top.
Third penalty of the afternoon against the Boilermakers.
Holding on the offense. It'll be a 10-yard penalty, and we'll replay first down.
Teammates, they said he's been taking them everywhere.
He's been taking Georgia's secondary everywhere today, too. He's been a travel guy for them, Mike. Breeze. Those are his tight end. This is Stratton. And he'll pick up part of the yardage from the penalty, plus about 4 more. Mann and Wansley combining to the stop.
There's a tight end now. He's 4th in pass receptions for the tight end position. Came into this game with 48 receptions. He does a nice job because he's a block. They're thin in the secondary anyway. They can't afford an injury.
Cedric Brown comes into the ball game, replacing Montrell Lowe at that tailback spot. Orentis Grant on the blitz. They pick him up. It's a nice job with the tackle. And he goes back, and there's nobody on the other side of the field. And here goes the race. Brown going to be tackled inside the 30 by Larry Mann. And I'm telling you, the air went out of this crowd on the Georgia side when they looked up and saw there were no red jerseys over there.
Well, the ball handling, first of all, is good. Then Oklahoma State used to run this type of play with Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. They'd roll to the right off a play-action fake and then throw all the way back to the left side, and they caught...
Connecticut was out front blocking, 324 pounds. As they keep this one on the ground, the flag comes in. The ball is loose, and Georgia has recovered, and now let's see what the flag is.
That may be offsides on Georgia, where that's coming from.
Well, that's the signal that's being given by Purdue.
Yep, that's what it is.
Kendall Bell knocked the ball loose, and it looked as though just what Mike has been talking about, something to awaken this Georgia football team, because it's like they've gotten a late wake-up call here this morning.
And Ron, that's just not defensive line. That's just not concentrating.
But on the opening drive, you made the comment that it opened the door, helped them get on in for the touchdown, kept that drive going, and it stopped the turnover right there. Short, quick pass in. That is Sutherland. Touchdown, Purdue. 21 yards.
2 offsides. It just sets up Drew Brees for another chance. They got to go for 2 here probably now since they missed the last extra point. 2 offsides opens up the gate. And this Georgia team came in. Motivation, focus being a factor, and they're getting leveled right here in the.
They go for 2 after that missed extra point. Brees right over the middle, letting just a bit too much. That was Chris James that he wanted.
Finally got pressure. Dimitri Evans with the pressure. Here's the touchdown. Vinny Sutherland against Tim Wansley. It's a double
in this league.
Well, I think when you look at football and college football in the SEC and the Big Ten, both of them have turned into passing leagues anymore. I really, and you know, you and I talked about this the other day. I think the Big Ten, I don't know what's going to happen the rest of this ball game, but I think the Big Ten by far is the best conference this year.
I agree with you. I was shocked at what Lee said a while ago. The 30-yard line. Coming up Tuesday night on ESPN, College Game Night Championship preview.
There's going to be some opportunities for Georgia.
Carter's going to wind up going out of bounds. Dinkins with the pressure. Actually, the man had stayed at home, but Quincy just had too much speed for him and ran around him and then went out of bounds for a short gain.
Quincy Carter started this year, worked hard in the summer with leadership, these younger players, finished the year with a press conference. Jim Donnan said they talked to a lot of GMs and head coaches in the pros. They said, stay in college 1 more year.
Finally go to work with the tight end. They haven't thrown to one yet. Got it complete for the first down. That's Michael Greer. He had McMichael out in the flat. 13 yards on the play. And in talking with Jim Donnan, I really thought that part of their game plan, they were going to go to the tight ends a lot today.
I think they will, Ron. I think they're still in shock. And it's still the first quarter. And there's a lot of football to be played here. Georgia can score. They've proven all year they could put points on the board. Just need to stay with your game plan. You're only down 19-0. Had a bad first quarter, but this game's still up for grabs.
Patrick pass, top of the screen in motion. Adele with the sack back at the 40-yard line.
Adele came into this ball game, Ron, with 10 sacks. The record of produced by Roosevelt Colvin. He has 15, so make that 11 now for Adele out of Coffeyville Junior College.
Happy New Year to you. Coming to you from Tampa, Florida for the Outback Bowl 2000. Georgia trying to get the offense going. Quincy Carter sets deep in the pocket, throws back here, and it's intercepted by Hawthorne. Bill slotted out of bounds.
Ron, they tried to go to Randy McMichael, the tight end. Hawthorne was right on him like a glove and had a chance for the interception.
I think if he had caught it cleanly, he was in bounds, but he juggled it, and that's when he went out of bounds.
Trying to go to the backside, just a tight end backside working against Hawthorne.
Good call, the official right there. Third down, Georgia. Here's a blitz. Quincy gets away, now throws it long and has it complete. Across midfield, down at the 39 to Terrence Edwards. 21 yards.
And that's what Quincy Carter brings with him to the quarterback position, the scrambling ability. Joe Odom, the linebacker, tried to get to Quincy Carter.
Edwards, 3 catches, 33 yards. Carter, mix up. Going to be dropped for the loss. Way back at the 46. Second time they've gotten to him. Mitrione is there. Looked as though, was he going to fake that handoff, Mike, or what?
I don't know, bust from the start. Can't have those plays. That looked like when you drop the dirt. Playground.
And the wind blew it away before everybody saw it.
Jim Donnan trying to find a way to get his team back in this football game. Get them in mentally. They need a big play. Keep saying that on defense. They need a turnover. They need a score.
Man open and caught it. Nope, caught it out of bounds. That was Johnson to tie it in. Let's check in again with Adrian.
Terrence Edwards' run seems to be kind of the forgotten man in this Georgia offense. You remember when we were down in South Carolina the second week of the season, he was really the go-to guy. But, you know, Quincy has been guilty, very honestly, as Jim Johnson says, of trying to do too much by himself and has kind of forgotten Terrence. Watch him very closely. He doesn't even look at Terrence most of the time, Ron, and that's why Jim is yelling his offense, and honestly starting to sound like I am, for crying out loud, getting so darn hoarse, because he thinks his offense is taking one play on, one play off. Whether it's paying attention to Terrence Edwards or not, they just don't have the concentration they need.
Okay, points well taken. Nice points, Adrian. Here's the draw. Going to be the first positive yardage for Quincy today. Beasley makes the tackle. Not going to have the first down, though. Do you go for it here, Mike? Good for 13 yards.
Got to. Adrian shouldn't have partied last night. Should have gone to bed. Terrence Edwards, talk about Terrence Edwards. He had a turf toe in the Tech game. You know, and that injury is hard to come back, so he missed a lot of practice. 53 catches going into this ball game.
Now the Purdue sideline trying to get the defense going. Situation, 4th down, and the line to make is the 29. Quincy Carter will go for the shotgun. Here he comes with the option play, and he is not going to be close. Knocked out of bounds, short, well short of the 30-yard line.
Ronnie, he had a shovel draw on. That's what the play was going to be. Quincy Carter sprint to the right. He was going to shovel it underneath. Purdue covered the shovel back and then made the tackle on Quincy Carter. Robert Arnaud was the back that he was trying to get the ball to. He comes Georgia.
Steps up, drills his pass, complete at the 42-yard line. Randall Lane made the reception. Very close to a first down. Not sure if he quite got it or not.
The unsung heroes of this offense, the offensive line, because they do such a good job of protecting Drew Brees. He does such a good job of getting rid of the ball fast, the cut blocks at the line of scrimmage. On every pass pattern, Ron, there's a short pass receiver. If Drew Brees knows he's got pressure, he knows where to throw the football so that he doesn't take a sack. But this offensive line has done a very good job on Stroud and Seymour, the 2 inside defensive tackles.
It was enough for the first down. As Brees sacked again, second time in the ball game. This time it's Evans, and that's a coverage sack. Probably a good thing he didn't throw it. There were 3 men around Sutherland deep.
He was going for the home run, and that's why he didn't go to Vinny Sutherland. That's why the sack occurred, because he had one deep route to Vinny Sutherland and drew the ball back in and didn't throw the ball. Took the sack.
So interesting, we mentioned only 12 sacks the entire year, and Georgia's gotten to him twice today.
This is another reason, Ron. 3-step drops, 10 out of 12. He's only taken 5 steps 4 times. So he throws quick.
from the shotgun. This is what Mike's talking about. Number 1 wasn't there. Number 2 was there, and he fumbled the football, and they say it's incomplete. That's Stratton, the tight end. His man came up and made the hit on him.
That's what you have to do against Purdue. You've got to make them pay. If they complete the 5 or 6 or 7 yard pass, you got to trade a headache with the 5 yards, and you got to come up and make the tackle. No big plays. Yards after catch is important against Purdue. They've had them in long yardage situations before. They just haven't been able to stop them.
They're perfect on third down conversions. Got to take this one down to the Georgia 48-yard line. 19-0. Purdue leads it. Early going into the second quarter. Breeze lobs it for the tight end. Stratton incomplete.
Good job by Georgia's defense, Ron.
Breeze really upset with himself, and he's been almost perfect for the ball game, but he's coming over beating himself up a little bit right now.
Yeah, Georgia did a nice job defensively. Credit Kevin Ramsey, Joe Kynes for some adjustments here, and now their offense. Quincy Carter's got to take over.
Take it, Breeze had that one to do over again. The guy who was coming back to help him was Chris James, deep over on the right side.
Ron Kendall Bell, number 37, has blocked 4 kicks this year. They're offsides again.
Beautiful high coverage kick. Pass all the way back to the 11. Pass is going to be around the 27. Flag is down for the offsides against Georgia. Now let me ask you the question.
I'd take the penalty and punt again.
Would you? 52
Yes.
yards,
Yeah.
16 on the return.
I still think they can get better field position.
Vieira is the one who jumped offside.
I think that's the question. Joe Kynes is going to, or Joe Tiller. Because of the return, I think I'd punt it again. Good return by pass. We'll kick it again.
Danny Rogers, senior out of Sanibel, Florida, prepares to punt for Purdue. First time we've seen him this afternoon, as the Boilers have not had to punt the football. They've been perfect on third down conversion.
I think the center moved the football there.
Pass on the run from the 19 this time. Breaks it. And is going to be tackled by Rogers, the punter. And now here comes a late flag from way downfield.
They all threw their flags on this one.
39 yards in the punt, 33 on the return.
It might be on Andy Staniford, number 80, for piling on. Got the offside first. Now, whether the center moved the football or not, that's going to be the question.
Play. We have an offside penalty on the defense. We have a dead ball, personal foul on the kicking team. Both penalties will be enforced. Previous spot.
So let's go to the line of scrimmage, move it 5 yards forward, and then 10 or 15 yards back. Turns by Patrick Pass. Now they've elected to send Greer back in there as the deep guy. Line drive spiral. Caught at the 18-yard line. Loses the ball, and at the 32-yard line, Purdue says they have it, and so do the officials. 49 yards in the kick, 13 on the return, and all I could say is keep Jim Donnan away from sharp objects. He's got to be pulling his hair out across the way. Let's take a break. 10:48 left until halftime. 19-0 Purdue, and Georgia has just turned it over.
He'll return the third one. Michael Greer replaces him and fumbles the football.
So Breeze, with great field position, pumps it once, wide open on the sideline. Chris James, and he will score. 32 yards.
that's exactly what happens when a team has a turnover. They're vulnerable for a big play. Purdue comes right back, gets the ball to Chris James, makes him pay. It's a football team in shock, making a lot of mistakes, a lot of offsides, fumble.
25-0 with the missed extra point and the missed two-point try. Breeze and company will go for two. And somebody's not out there. It's Lowe. So here they go with a two-point conversion drive. And the screen to Sutherland, and he dropped the football. And didn't really matter because Wansley was there. He was going to make the tackle. So two-point tries have gone awry, and a missed field goal, or a missed extra point. Now let's take a break. 25-0. Purdue on top. 10:38 remaining until halftime. Do not conform. Be different. Well, if you're not from this part of the world, that's the University of Tampa campus. It has a very, very pretty complex. Not too far from here. Hey, what seems like every year we come down here to do this bowl game, Tampa has some outstanding weather, don't they?
Beautiful.
Well, Patrick Pass was in there, but Adrian Karsten's on the sideline, and Adrian, he was a little ill, wasn't he?
Brave young man, Ron. No surprise, both you and I, because you know what this is like. The flu started working its way through the Georgia football team this morning, and well, we got a rather graphic example of that from Patrick Pass before. Yeah, when you return 2 punts in a row, you're going to be tired, but he actually had an upset stomach over here on the sidelines. Now, there are not a lot of other guys in the starting rotation who have suffered from the flu so far this morning, but we also know how quickly this whole thing can move, so it might make a difference in the second half.
Yeah. Okay, nice job, Adrian. Yeah, we thought we saw him with his hands on his knees like he was not well. This is Sanks, and Jasper is going to be tackled as soon as he gets the football. Odom makes the stop.
They're going to need Patrick Pass in this ball game because they can't get a running game going right now. Jasper Sanks came into this ball game averaging 5.1 yards per carry. They haven't been able to run against this Purdue football team.
Look at those yards. Purdue 35 and 199 and only 9 yards rushing for Georgia. Pass is overthrown, and there's a flag back over here on the near sideline. And if I'm not mistaken, that positive yardage rushing was by Quincy Carter.
Offside defense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay second down.
Quincy Carter very capable.
No question about that. He can make it happen rapidly. He's got to get everybody on the right page. Here comes the pitch reverse. This is Edwards. Gets a block and he's loose. Edwards at the 50, 30, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, 74 yards. Terrence Edwards.
That's what they need. Right there, a big play to get them back in this football game. Quincy Carter with a good fake, the reverse to Terrence Edwards, former high school quarterback, shows you great speed, get in the end zone.
There also makes the point of Jim Donnan to spread out the Purdue defense, because as far as speed and quickness, Georgia has the edge in both of those categories. But Purdue has done a great job of keeping them bunched up until that play there.
Very good call by Jim Donnan.
Kick is up and it's good. And the Georgia Bulldogs finally awaken offensively. 9:39 left until halftime.
Purdue 25-7 run, and a big play. Now the defense has got to come on, Breeze.
Coleman's kick is going to be picked up by Stratton, Lockheed, one of the reserve tight ends, and he'll take it out close to the 35-yard line. Now the touchdown, and let's see if that puts a little spark in this Georgia defense, and if they can put the clamps on Drew Brees and company.
And get the ball back a lot of time. 9:31 still left in this quarter, so a lot of football to be played if Georgia's defense can slow down Drew Brees. I think you can count the times they've hit Drew Brees on your hand.
They do have the 2 sacks, but that is about the only time they touched me today. You're right. Straight ahead with the running play, and that's Brown. And Shedrick's going to take it to around the 38. Evans and Bell making the stop. Also, remember in the second half, Dustin Luckey can come back to the ball game. Having to sit out the half because of the fight against Georgia Tech. Set out the second half of that one, the first half of this one. So there he is right there, and he is the regular at that defensive end spot. So that might bring a spark to them as well.
Give them a little more depth defensively.
Brees goes under center, and he's got an empty backfield, as you can see. Nobody behind him. Batted down at the line of scrimmage. Seymour, Richard Seymour, got a hand up. The big junior out of Gadsden, South Carolina.
Yeah, he's a captain of this defensive football team and captain for the entire football team. Richard Seymour.
Brees out in the flat. That is Brown. Loses the football and recovered by Georgia. Around his Grant.
One play can turn the ball game completely around. The reverse, then Jamie Henderson with the hit, causes the fumble. Now Georgia
with a wonderful opportunity from the 34-yard line. Hurdles one man at the line of scrimmage. Will take it to the 29. The ball is loose, and Purdue says they have it, but the officials say no, as Willie Fells made the tackle.
Georgia felt they had the advantage, Ron, with speed as Patrick Pass playing with effort.
Arnott comes into the backfield, number 30, and joins tailback Patrick Pass. Second down for the Bulldogs. They need to take it to the 24-yard line. 6 steps back to Pass, gets a block, and will be forced out of bounds.
Advantage of speed. They're trying to get outside against this Purdue defense.
Georgia with a 3rd down and 3.
He's dangerous running the football.
Going to give it to Pass, though, and he will have, ooh, I don't know. It is very, very close.
Ran hard, though, up inside.
Yes,
Willie
did.
Fells with a tackle, number 40.
Number 40, getting 12 in on the stop.
Going to go for it anyway. You got Jasper Sankson.
He just gave it to him.
Gave him first down.
Yeah.
Nice drive right here by Georgia. Gets them back in the football game.
25-7, Purdue. The reverse has awakened Georgia. They got the turnover on the fumble just a couple of moments ago. But now they got to do something with it. Sanks, boy, he gets hit with a shoulder-high tackle by Mike Rose and is spun around at the 19.
But that's 5 yards, Ron. They're knocking up in there for 4 and 5 yards running the football. Good sign for Georgia.
Well, the size difference is about 20 pounds per man between the offensive front of Georgia and that defensive front of Purdue. Again, loses the football, and it's recovered by Purdue at the 20-yard line. Hawthorne makes the recovery. Odom knocked it loose.
Joe Odom, the redshirt freshman, started 2 games this year, 31 tackles, makes the hit. In a big...
Wouldn't look like that if you didn't drink so much last night. 25-7, Purdue leading in the ballgame. Our Outback trivia question. Purdue's only bowl loss versus Virginia in the 1984 Peach Bowl. Who were the starting quarterbacks? And you know.
I know. I can see the answers there, but I'm not going to pretend like I knew.
Jim Everett from Purdue.
Very good quarterback.
Don Mikowski for Virginia. So, our Outback trivia question and answer today.
Well, big fumble by Georgia. Had a chance to climb back in this game.
Still with the running play low. Not much there for him. He might have a half yard, and that's about it. Biari defensively for Georgia. Clock about to go under 6 minutes. Left until halftime as you look at Jasper Sanks, who turned it over just a moment ago.
And Georgia's defense now has done a better job the last 2 series. And as soon as we say this, Drew Brees is going to start spreading them again a little bit.
They have. They've made some adjustments that have worked very well. Brees got it complete in the flag, and that's Daniels avoided the tackler, and with that second effort will have the first down as Robinson finally stopped him.
Against Michigan State, Ron, he had 21 catches for 301 yards. You'd think he'd been tired after that football game. That's about 5 games worth of catches and yards against Michigan State. Had 109 receptions coming into this ball game today.
Well, the people in West Lafayette are extremely excited that he's coming back. 4 catches for 31 yards and 2 touchdowns for Daniels today. That's incomplete at the 35.
What Purdue does with the offensive line is chop block a lot. They go down for the legs, especially on the 3-step drops, and they keep you from getting your hands up. The offensive, so different techniques by the offensive line of Purdue really hurting Georgia.
People who ask about it, we'll talk about it. Got that one on the flat, the 35-yard line. This is this game. And now it's going to be 3rd down, and they'll need about 5. And let's check in with Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
Ron, there is a professional scout in the Midwest who calls this the best offensive line in the nation as far as pass blocking is concerned. Uncharacteristic to other Big Ten teams. What they'll do, well, especially in the shotgun, and then Drew takes a 3-step drop, is to step out, take on the defensive end, as opposed to catching. That is to say, let the defensive line come to you and then hold them off. They do a fantastic job, although, as Mike points out, we haven't seen the chop a lot today. The best that Georgia can do right now is just get their hands up and not get in the defense.
16 of 24, 214 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'd say, no, they're not getting through. Not yet. That's a pretty good ball game for on hand. Brees got him open right over the middle. The first down to Southern. The interesting thing about the chop block, and for everybody who says, well, I thought it was illegal, it is if the man is engaged by somebody else. But if you chop him individually, that is legal.
You want to get those hands down. A double in route again by Purdue. They bring Chris Daniels underneath, and that Jim Chaney doing a nice job calling the game.
About to go under 4 minutes remaining until halftime. Purdue trying to add to that lead. This is low. And then back into the middle, has the first down, plus about 3 more yards. Biari made the tackle that could have saved a touchdown. And now a late flag is in.
Dead ball, personal foul on the offense. The gain was sufficient for a first down. It'll be a 1st and 10 after a 15-yard penalty.
College basketball coming up on Wednesday on ESPN. Georgia Tech heads to Kentucky to face the 25th ranked Wildcats at 7 o'clock Eastern. Then at 9 o'clock, Shane Battier, the 8th ranked Duke Blue Devils, taking on Virginia. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. So the good news for Purdue fans, they did pick up the first down. The bad news is they just lost 15 yards because of the personal foul.
Top of the screen. I don't know if that's Richardson or trying to hold on.
Breeze's pass almost threw that one too late. Donald Winston, I'll tell you. Coming up very quickly was Henderson. He was close to getting the interception.
Everything's short, Ron, and you're right. Jamie Henderson coming up quickly, so you figure it's not too long away that he's going to pump fake and try to hit the deep throw on Jamie Henderson. Young secondary for Kevin Ramsey. A lot of short passes by Drew Brees. You've got to be able to make the tackle right away.
Again, it's an empty backfield. Nobody behind Drew Brees. Pressure on Brees. Gonna run it. And he will dive forward for the first down. At the 45-yard line, Bell was there. And let's check in with Brian Kenny. Brian?
Yeah, Ron, coming up at the half of the Dodge halftime report, we'll check in with the guys in New Orleans. Chris Fowler's down there. Look at the Hokies and the Seminoles. We've got the big day in the Big Ten versus the SEC like this game here. And we'll also take a look ahead at the Rose Bowl and Stanford injuries. That's on the Dodge halftime report. John Makovic will join me then.
All righty. Our situation, 3 minutes and 10 seconds left until halftime.
Did you see Brian Kenny last night on TV? He looked like he was dressed like the Duke of Earl.
That's how the Duke dresses?
The Duke Kenny.
Oh.
He had a scarf and everything.
Well, I know what I was going to ask for the wine list when I saw it.
Ninth play of the drive. It started back at the 20-yard line. Straight ahead. Lowe puts the head down, and he will have the first down. Actually, Breeze didn't have it a moment ago, and Evans will make the stop. Adrian Karsten, what do you have for us?
I need to take you back earlier this year, the Auburn game, the ill-fated Auburn game for Georgia. There was a time in that game, 31-0, and Kevin Ramsey actually began to take some heat because he stuck with man coverage. In fairness to Kevin, I need to say, with four brand new backs, all of whom were practically benched or fired after the Ole Miss game, he continues to stick with what he thinks is going to work best. So far in this game, he likes the man coverage. Mike, you've seen a little bit of zone here, but he has taken a little bit of heat concerning what he did in that Auburn game and is trying to dig himself out of the hole with that performance.
17 first down for Purdue in this ball game. Breeze going to run it. Secondary doing a nice job of coverage, and that was
Doing a good job of coverage. And answering Adrian there, Kevin Ramsey's a very good football coach. Coached at Missouri, West Virginia, Tennessee, and now coordinating in Georgia. This football team, I'm telling you, what they jumped off to 6-1 record. They're overrated, really. They're a young football team, and the expectation level is too high for this Georgia football team this year. Now, next year, it rises a little bit. I think Jim Donnan and his staff have done a very good job. But they ended the season 3 out of 4 losses. But sometimes the other team can play well.
well.
Give them credit.
And in this first half, for the most part, Breeze has made very few errors. It's been a clinic on how to run this offense, and it's not always pretty. I go back to what the Penn State coaches said. The chop on the outside, they throw a 5-yard completion, you miss a tackle, it turns into 10, 12 yards, and that's how they just drive you crazy. This short pass right here doesn't look like that. It's another first down. Almost like a run.
Yeah, and the other thing is to keep your offense on the sideline so that when you come out, you've got to score quickly, and you make mistakes.
And that's Simpson. A.T. Simpson on the reception, got out of bounds to stop the clock at the 25-yard line. Grant with another tackle. He's been a busy guy You have to wonder as this temperature gets up close to 80 degrees, as much as this Georgia defense has had to play and as much running as they've done sideline to sideline, it could affect them in the second half.
Good point.
Well, the line to make is the 22, indicated by the ESPN First and 10, presented by A&D Athlon Processor. This pass out in the flat. Got it to Brown. And Cedric does not fumble this one. He holds on to it. And
Super accurate passer.
clock stopped at 1:38. And Purdue knocking on the door again. Breeze got it. And then stepping out of bounds, thrown out of bounds. Daniels made the reception, and Henderson was right there.
A lot of walking around by Georgia defensively right now. Richard Seymour complaining about a late kick by Purdue's offensive line. Really upset with the official that he's not calling it.
Purdue breaks the huddle, and Georgia just now spreading out defensively. The ball resting at the 13-yard line. Breeze got him open over the middle, and actually two receivers wound up right on top of one another, Tolbert and Daniel. He just took a timeout to talk things over.
They've been good once they get inside the 20-yard line.
Boy, I'll tell you.
This drive of 15 plays keeps Quincy Carter on the sideline.
There it is right there, 4 of 4 inside the 20.
They're not field goals.
No, the only thing they haven't done well today is extra points. 2-point conversions and extra points. That's the only thing with Purdue that's deflated right now.
Giving him a halftime break. Or he'll visit to the Outback.
Breeze got it away, and it's Henderson. Breeze is the only man who can stop him, and he gets by him, and he fell down. 50 yards on the return. And that is far and away the worst pass he's thrown.
Drew Brees made a mistake, and he was not sure he was going to throw that football and left it go late. They had a double crossing route.
They haven't thrown to him yet in this ball game. They go to him here, and he makes the reception at the 34. He is a great-looking young tight end. 6'2", 223 pounds, and in fact, if you stand by him, he seems as though looks more like a 6'4" kid than 6'2".
Run good-looking tight ends. And what Georgia has done, or what Purdue has done to Georgia, not allowed them any big plays up to this point. Everything's been short.
Carter got it away and got it complete, and that's to Johnson, the other tight end.
You talk about a gun now. Quincy Carter threw that right in there. Mike Rose, the linebacker, number 4, had good coverage, and I think he was surprised how Quincy Carter threaded the needle.
First down. Purdue trying to put on some pressure. Carter's going to run out of it. And will go down at the 11-yard line. Clopton finally came up to put the stop. But when Georgia gets in the open field, whether it's special teams or like this, that is when the difference in speed is very, very evident.
Without a doubt. That was what Jim Donnan was counting on. The speed of his football team, the overall speed of his defense, and his offensive football team. Quincy Carter, such a valuable commodity to this offensive team. He can run the football, and that's what makes him dangerous down here. Still have all 3 timeouts, so they got a lot of time here.
Clock says 30 seconds. Carter got by him, threw it in the end zone, and he dropped the football. Wow. Nugent was really putting some pressure on him. Michael Greer, I know he was trying to keep his feet in bounds, or at least a foot. He should have caught that football.
Yeah, Michael Greer again. Quincy Carter buying time with his scrambling ability.
Situation. 22 seconds left until halftime. Ball sits at the 10-yard line, and it is second down for the Georgia Bulldogs.
They got 86 Number 86, Randy McMichael in the slot. Now, he's going to be against the linebacker.
Well, everybody's pointing at everybody else. Purdue saying it's against Georgia, and of course Georgia saying you did it.
Second and goal, it won't hurt Georgia. Gives them a little more room if it's on them.
Part of the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and only second down.
Purdue players beckoning their fans to get up.
Third receiver in is McMichael.
Lots of time. That's who he goes to, right over the middle. And he couldn't hold on. Fells with the cover. McMichael asking for interference, but he probably should have grabbed that football.
Yeah, what you have there is what the matchup that Jim Donnan wants. You get the big tight end, 6'3", 223 on.
A little bit higher than I thought it was. 18 seconds remaining. It is third down and goal.
You got Edwards here in the boundary.
Got him over the middle. Couldn't hold on. Hawthorne with the hit on Edwards.
They had two plays where they had exactly what they wanted. They had Terrence Edwards into the short side of the field, got him on the post, a little high on the football, but he should have been able to bring that in.
So Jim Donnan does not want to leave this part of the field without points. Field goal team has come on. Of 19 for half this year. We'll say officially 32 yards.
Ron, I think they're going to adjust the clock, though, because the clock didn't run during that last play. They've taken 5 seconds off the clock. Clock operator was watching the play.
Low kick, and he got it. Aesthetically, it was not a thing of beauty, but it went through the uprights. And Georgia puts on their 10th point of the second quarter and trying to work their way back into the ballgame. Now down by 15. And while we got a second, let's check in with Adrian.
Ron, thanks very much. You know, there really is a feeling among players and coaches in college football. If you're not involved in the bowl championship series, this is the bowl you want to come to.
Passes, you just got to that Appleton Steakhouse up in Wisconsin. You aren't going to do that, I know.
Don't count Georgia out too quick. Everybody's.
I'm not counting them out.
No, and I know you're not.
I'm just saying they slumbered for a long time, and now they finally
the
awaken.
Outback. They're very much live in this football game. They've shut down. They've done a nice job defensively. They haven't shut them down, but they're getting turnovers on Purdue. And I'm sure Jim Chaney and Joe Tiller are going to go in the locker room and see if they can't fine-tune their offense.
Dead ball, personal foul on the receiving team. It'll be half the distance to the goal and a first down.
A lot of penalties in the first half.
Yep, that's what they'll do. 6 seconds down to 5. And as they head to the locker room. Purdue, well, they just were blowing away Georgia. And in the second quarter, Georgia came up with 10 unanswered points. So that's how we stand at halftime. It's Purdue 25 and Georgia 10. Now with the Dodge halftime report, let's rejoin Brian Kenny and John McAbey. The halftime show, as usual, at the Outback Bowl here in Tampa. Mike Gottfried, in the first quarter, maybe it's the early hour that this game started, but Georgia just got a later wake-up call than did Purdue, and I don't know if they got far enough back. They certainly got themselves in a position down by only 15, but you have to say they're fortunate to only be down 15.
And that's what Jim Donnan's told his football team, I'm sure, at halftime, is as badly as we played.
Yeah.
We're still alive in this football game. We come back and play in the second half. We got a shot to win this game. Drew Brees has been the story in the first half. He hits Chris Daniels with a touchdown pass and comes right back to his favorite receiver for another score, and then hits Vinny Sutherland on a slant pattern that got him in the end zone. And then Chris James from here in Florida makes a couple moves after the turnover and gets a touchdown. So Drew Brees has had a pretty good first half.
Well, let's look at those numbers. The comparison between Carter and Brees, 21 of 32. Normally that's a game for somebody. Quincy, 8 of 14, 72 yards. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception for Brees. No touchdowns, no interceptions for Carter. And I know that Drew Brees is kicking himself as good a first half as he had. That one pass was a horrible pass, and he knew he forced it when he threw it.
On the first 4 drives, they had 212 yards and 4 touchdowns. The last 4 drives, now credit Georgia, held them to 108 yards, no touchdowns, 2 turnovers. So they made some good adjustments there.
So let's see what happened at halftime. I can tell you what happened now. We'll see how effective it was. And I don't imagine Joe Tiller was pleased with it. All of a sudden, they got a little sloppy.
Real sloppy. I was going to say the same thing. They got very sloppy, and they dominated the first half statistically. They had 16 more plays than Georgia. They had 6 more minutes of possession time than Georgia.
So the Bulldogs get the football to open the second. And it's going to be Milliken.
This is a key drive right here for Georgia.
Adrian Karsten, what do you have for it?
Ron, very big drive for Georgia, and Jim Donnan knows it. A point. Early in the year, he thought Quincy Carter was taking some hits he didn't necessarily have to. He was trying to do too much on his own. Now at halftime, he comes out of the locker room and tells me, you know, Adrian, very honestly, maybe I shackled Quincy too much. Now I'm going to let him go. I mean, this practically is our season down here. He also wants to get the ball to the tight ends more, and that means better pass blocking by the offensive line. However, there is a problem. Left tackle Jonas Jennings is out of the game with a bad left ankle. He's going to have to be backed up by a freshman.
Yep, Alex Jackson, number 79, a 318-pound freshman. As they throw on first down, and, well, Phillips got turned completely around. That one was way too tall. With Michael in motion, the big tight end. Gets that one to Greer. And he's going to pick up about 6 yards. Depends on, well, they're going to have him out of bounds at the 29.
Said all along, Ron, and you and I have both heard Jim Donnan talk about his 2 tight ends, Randy McMichael and Javaris Johnson.
He really likes McMichael. McMichael wants to be a wide receiver, and he's so big. Actually, he's fast enough probably to play in some situations. Tipped and almost intercepted as Fells got a hand up.
Tried to go to Javaris Johnson, the tight end, and Willie Fells was sitting right on the play. In high school, he was a 189-pound wrestler, 3-year record of 99-2, so he understands leverage.
So 3 and out for Georgia to open the second half. Not the way they had planned it. Still go to punt it for the Bulldogs. Sutherland signals for the fair catch, and he lost it in his zone. That is a smart play right there, because he could have been a hero, backed up and tried to make it over the shoulder, and he'd have fumbled it and lost it, and that would not have been the way to open the second half for Purdue.
Wise move, Ron, and I think Jim Chaney, now the offensive coordinator of Purdue, will go back to some of the same things he started this game with. Get the ball to Chris Daniels. Drew Brees, 4 hurries. He's been sacked twice, and good decisions by Drew Brees because he didn't have receivers open. He took the sack. You'll see Daniels a little bit more be a receiver that Drew Brees looks for.
Don't forget, Lucky can play in this half, and number 50 is out there in that right defensive end spot, top of your screen in red. That pass is going to complete to Daniels. In case you joined us late in the ball game, what happened to Dustin? He got in a fight in the Georgia Tech game. Of course, you're suspended for a full game. He had to sit out the second half of that one and the first half of this one. So his penalty has been served, and now he can go the second 30 minutes for the Bulldogs. senior out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. One of the triplets. Three-man rush. Richard Seymour goes to the sideline on the second down and 5 situation. Breeze steps up, gets the pass complete to his tight end Stratton. Now they say incomplete.
It's the first change we see in the alignment of Georgia, going to more of a cover defense in the secondary, bringing extra DBs in, 3-man rush. Figured they couldn't get to Drew Brees in the first half. Let's defend a little bit more here in the second half. Good call.
Yeah, put right between his legs. Bell was there with the cover, so now it's third down. 5 of 8 for Purdue, but actually, when you count it, only 1 of the last 5 because they didn't miss on the first 4 possessions. Daniels over the middle. Got it complete. Breaks the tackle. And Daniels not only has the first down, will take it to the 37-yard line. Man finally put the stop on it, but it's 16 yards.
And Chris Daniels used the umpire a little bit there, too, as a rub-off. Knew he had man coverage. Chris Daniels going to go in motion. Now works up the...
Latrell Lowe, the running back. Here comes the flag down. And boy, I just got it out of my mouth. J.C. Lineback just called his first holding call of the game. Ooh. I hope there are not many more of those. I mean, I'm sure what he saw was right.
Kevin Ramsey, the defensive coordinator, trying to find something to throw off Drew Brees.
Kobe just came out, the guard, the right guard, and Aaron Starnes, number 75, just came in replacing him. Aaron's a senior, 6'4", 302 out of Shawnee, Kansas. And this time, George given all kinds of cushion. They came up and closed it quickly with Wansley, and he put Winston down in a hurry.
Wansley read that little bubble screen, and he broke.
They got to take it all the way out to the 48-yard line. Line of scrimmage to the 26.
Still a 3-man rush.
And they're offside again. Sutherland right over the middle.
They'll take that penalty, get that down back.
Seymour guilty of coming across before the ball was snapped. So encroachment against him.
Offside defense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain second down.
Adrian, well, that is surprising. Breeze got Sutherland again at the 40-yard line.
And that last offside penalty by Georgia makes 17 penalties on both teams in this ball game. It's been a sloppy game.
They need about 8 yards to pick up the first. Purdue leads it 25-10. Just over 11 minutes to play in this third quarter. Breeze got him open for the first down.
That's what happens when you only rush 3 players, but they couldn't get to him with a 4- and 5-man and a 6-man rush in the first half, so they're trying to defend right now. But that gives him a little bit more time to let Randall Lane find an opening in the zone coverage and come open. He's got
yards. Sure that the receiver at the bottom of your screen got up to the line of scrimmage so they'd have enough men there. If he had been off the ball, only 6 at the line of scrimmage. And it winds up playing the block. Dawson to pave the way for that run by Lowe to go all the way to the 29-yard line. Good for 18 yards.
This could be the backbreaker for Georgia right here.
You're
because
right.
This drive, they've got to shut it down now. They cannot allow Purdue any more points on the board, especially a touchdown. But they outflanked them there, Ron, with the motion man. They had a tight end, and they ran the toss sweep. They've done a nice job sweeping and running the draw. Georgia
Fakes it to Lowe. That one is to Winston, and he is shoved out of bounds after a gain of 5, maybe 6 yards by Henderson.
You know, I'm rushing, but he gets rid of the football. It can be that way. Daniels back in the ball game. He's the short receiver that Hughes likes.
They tried to cross him up a running play, and that's not going to go for very much at all, as Witherspoon is right there to make the tackle. Well, Montrell Lowe is not a real big fellow. As you can see, he gets lost in the trees at only 5'8", 189. He's a redshirt freshman out on LaPorte, Texas.
Fred Akers started a lot of those Texas recruits going to Purdue.
Well, the line to make is the 19-yard line, indicated by our ESPN First and 10, presented by AMD Athlon Processor. Actually, about the 18.5. 10th play of the drive. Breeze has got Daniels for the first down. Orontis Grant will make the tackle.
This is the route Ron, that they ran for the touchdown early in the ball game. Just an arrow route where he works up inside against the linebacker and just breaks it back outside. It's pitch and catch.
So it's a first down, and the ball just outside of the 17-yard line. 6 of 7 for 40 yards this quarter. Here comes the pressure, and it's quarterback draw. Actually a very good call, but right there to smell it out was Josh Millard, beg your pardon.
Josh is a good football player. Last year, I can remember talking to Jim Don, and he said, we won't let him practice against our first team offense because he just disrupts everything. He's a very...
3 wide receivers go left this time. Back this direction, looking in the end zone, nobody is there, and now delivers it, caught it out of bounds. Daniels.
The official got taken out too, so there was no official that could see where his feet was at because the official that was supposed to be there got knocked down. Drew Brees, guard coming out, and the Purdue fans are not liking what they see here. Now he's out of bounds. That's your answer?
That's my answer.
Georgia's going to come after him here.
8 of 11 on third down conversions. And Stratton, the tight end, came out of a stance before the ball was snapped.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain third down.
Daniels again, Ron, there's what you're looking for. I don't think he had to take advantage of the penalty by Purdue. Shut him down at least to a field goal.
Breeze pumped it once, got over the end zone, got Sutherland there, and it's knocked away at the last moment.
Boy, nice job by Tim Wansley. Oh, number 2, he recovered. Vinny Sutherland had him beat on the pump fake, but Tim Wansley came back and deflected that football.
In 1999, and this kept plenty long enough and plenty wide right. So, all of a sudden, from a scoring machine in that first half. Purdue they're doing a walkabout now.
You remember that play by Wansley, because that was a big play that forced Sutherland not to be able to catch that touchdown.
Michael, they've just kind of dozed off here also.
Yeah, they have. They've given Georgia a chance to get back in this football game.
Georgia's defense has had a lot to do with it, but all of a sudden that prolific scoring machine of the first half is not here in the second half. Headed back into the middle. Finally going to be stopped at the 40-yard line. 17 yards. Sure looked as though that if he had stayed to the outside, he only had one guy to beat.
Stayed to the outside, he may have gone all the way. Jonas Jennings is back in the ball game. He had a good block on that Steve Herndon.
For 51 yards for Edwards. Actually, Jennings just being there scared him off his feet. Here's the option. Gets it back to Arnaud and Rule. Going nowhere. Second down, Georgia. Draw play. And Arnaud is going to be stopped after a gain of the yard and a half that he lost just a moment ago. Mitrione is there.
Ron, talking about David Nugent, made the play before. He came to Purdue as a tight end, 3-year starter, but he had a quote in that I read where he said it just feels good being a part of building a tradition at Purdue. And a lot of times the teams that win all the time get the best recruits, but sometimes a guy like David Nugent chose to go to a school where he wants to be on the foundation of building a tradition.
Third down, line to make the 49 of Purdue. And from the shotgun formation, there's flags and whistles. I think Nugent is from Germantown High School, which puts out a lot of good athletes in all sports for that matter.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remaining third down.
Good teams and a proud football tradition.
Standing up right now, asking their defense to put a stop on Georgia on this third down play. Pressure on Quincy Carter, drills it complete, and that, I believe, yes, is enough for the Georgia first down.
Again, the strength of Quincy Carter's arm, running away and throwing across his body, and he gets enough on that football to get Georgia just hanging in here.
Comes a quick screen out to Edwards. Gets one block. Wins the second, and now it's going to be taken out of bounds. And 15 yards because he hit him out of bounds.
They're having a hard time with that quick screen backside because Jim Donovan's found something he likes too, this quick screen to the backside.
Well, as we talked about in the...
They got a busting formation, and Quincy Carter's going to take a timeout.
Oh, he is screaming at Phillips. I think the adjusters, he is supposed to have been on the other side.
The Heat's got Purdue. Inside by Patrick Cass, the tailback. He gets a nice block on the linebacker.
Gain of 10 on the play as Beasley finally made the stop. Adrian Karsten, what do you have?
Chance to get in that end zone.
Well, when you put it in that youngster's hands, it's got a pretty good shot of getting into the end zone. Here's first down from the 12. Carter will go down at around the 8-yard line. Mike Rose finally put a stop on him.
We talked about Drew Brees being a Heisman candidate. Of course, Quincy Carter can set off his campaign because a lot has to do how you end the season.
Rush is 27 yards for Carter. Quarterback draw. He's going to call his own number.
Carter's long area.
He will score.
his size running up in there, and you... They're going to go for 2. Try to get it down to 7. And now Drew Brees. The pressure all falls on Purdue's offense. They have to answer this score.
Plus the fact they need to give their defense a little bit of a break. It's been a long drive by Georgia.
They're mixed up again. Georgia spending 2 timeouts here on this drive.
In a game this close.
Yep.
On first down, this is Edwards. He pitches it back to Patrick Pass, who will pick up the 2 points.
Very good call by Jim Donnan. It's a sweep that turns into an option play.
Still a little yard repair out there with this turnover. 2 yards deep in the end zone. This is Clapton. Inside the 20-yard line. J.R. Jenkins on the special teams.
We talked about Kevin Ramsey, Joe Kynes defensively making adjustments on Drew Brees. First 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns. They've shut him down the last 5 possessions. This is big for Purdue. Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator, and Drew Brees right here. He needs to answer Georgia's score.
Kobe is back in the ball game at right guard.
3-man rush by Georgia has caused some problems for Purdue.
Take that reverse and he's right back as a flag comes down from way downfield. Bailey on the tackle of Lowe.
The penalties have just killed Purdue.
Correction, Lowe making the reception. 45 was Bailey on the stop.
Take it all the way out to the 27-yard line to pick up the first down. And it's Lowe in the draw plays. Breaks the tackle at the 15, still fighting out to the 24. Boy, that is a great second and third effort. And Lowe got up and was screaming at the defender. Lowe's only 5'8", as we mentioned, but he is really tough.
And Ron, what happens when you give a 3-man rush? You can't hit the draw up in there, and that's exactly what Purdue hit Montrell Lowe, the redshirt freshman, up inside on the draw play. This is vintage Drew Brees. You'd expect him to take his team down and score here.
Well, last year when we had him in the Alamo Bowl against K-State, and they trailed at that time, and he led them back on the final drive. Playing close to the first down by Lowe. Just depends on from where that linesman has come in. It would appear he would pick up the first down as Bell makes the tackle.
Ron, what I was talking about is when you get a 3-man rush and Kevin Ramsey's so content on stopping this. There's 3-man rush. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and 1 linebacker. So you've got 5 offensive linemen.
Keeps down. Lowe picked it up. The ball now at the 27.5-yard line. About to go under 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
You got to take what they're going to give you.
Pass. He's loose to the outside. Denny Sutherland caught from behind at the 33 by Robinson. Yards on the play.
Well, Corey Robinson may have saved a touchdown because Vinny Sutherland is the speedster on this football team.
They give the ball to Lowe. He puts the head down. He's going to have 5 or 6, maybe 7 yards in the play.
Here's where Georgia has stepped it up in the last 5 drives. They haven't allowed Purdue to get any closer. You got to pick your poison. Do you blitz him right here and try to get to him?
You got to go one way or the other. You can't be stagnant.
Well, you can't stay in the same things, and they've already started. Now they got a 4-man rush. They got out a 3-man rush.
Quick count, and they go with the running play. He's not going to have the first down. It'll bring up a 3rd down, and from where the linesman has come in, it's going to be about a yard short.
94.
Bruce Adrien on the tackle.
That's why so much goes into it, Ron. Every play, you're trying to find the edge. Both coaching staffs. You know what the offense has done up to this point. Now you're trying to get the edge. They jumped into a 4-man rush there, and it stopped the run.
This is 4 down anyway with the problems they've had with their kicking game.
Yeah, without a doubt. You're right.
Straight ahead, he didn't get it. Cedric Brown got whacked down hard. Bell was the leader of the group.
One reason I don't like that play is because you don't have a lead blocker. And that's exactly what happens. Kendall Bell gets to hit the single back, but they got a good spot. Still 4th down.
Dorse on the sideline. Like I said, he is at 4 blocks this year. He's missed an extra point, and he also has missed a field goal.
Clock's moving. Drew Brees not even in the huddle yet.
He's going to have to call a timeout because they're at 13 now with 12 seconds. See if he can get to the line of scrimmage and get it off. 7 seconds down to 6. And 4th and 1. Fakes it, put it on his hip, going to run it. And he got it. It's just barely. I think his knee touched down before he got there.
I think they would have been better off to take the time out there. They got a good spot again.
Yep, they did. Vieira finally came over. Oh, this is awfully, awfully close. The
Now, I think you come right back and you go to Daniels. They've run the ball successfully here. Let's see if they go to Daniels or Lane or Sutherland in a little quick passing game right here.
Daniels, number 20. Chris James, number 28. And Sutherland, 14. All of them have touchdowns in this ballgame. We'll find out in the 4th quarter because the 3rd is now history. So let's take a timeout. Purdue driving. They lead it 25-18 over Georgia. Back for the final 15 minutes after we
Get the football here.
7 plays, 73 yards. Here we go. First play of the 4th quarter. They go with a running play. Hit in the backfield is low and knocked down by 97 Marcus Stroud. What a huge play that one could turn into. As we look at the defensive stats, Bell with 10 tackles and Henderson with 7 to lead the way for Georgia. And of those 10 tackles by Bell, 7 are solo. For Purdue, Bell's with 10 and Hawthorne with 6. Big stop by Marcus Stroud just now.
Marcus Stroud chose Georgia over Florida. He was the first big recruiting coup for Georgia.
Jim Donnan is with
Jim Donnan.
His regime. Please. Daniels.
His pass is complete.
Shoot down there that didn't work. It's got to be 3rd down and at least 12. Bell makes the stop. And let's check in with Adrian.
The time in this game. There was a time in this game, probably late 2nd quarter, where pass rush after pass rush after pass rush was really starting to wear down the Georgia defensive line. Well, then Jim Donnan began adding a 4th defensive lineman in pass rush situations. Combine that with the way that Georgia controlled the ball in the 3rd quarter.
Have not got to Drew Brees, though. Either defensive line. I think that both defensive lines are worn out.
Georgia looks as though they're going to bring him from the outside. As Brees steps up, Chris Daniels dropped the ball. He did throw it a little bit behind him.
And now you got to go to the field goal, which has been an adventure.
Been an adventure. We mentioned that he has had 4 field goals blocked in 1999. Going to be an attempt of 38 yards from the far hash mark. Missed one from 40 earlier today. Good pass, plenty of distance on this one, and he missed it. Well, Purdue is trying everything they can to help Georgia in this football game, and they have.
They really have, Ron.
When the play actually happened. This is Greer. Breaks it out big, and is going to be tackled just shy of the 45-yard line.
Ron, they have not solved the quick screen by Georgia, and Jim Donnan continues to go back to it. And that has been a big play in the second half, and you credit adjustments, credit Jim Donnan with his staff just keep coming back to it. They can't stop it. Purdue looks like they're out of gas on defense. Tired, a tired football team.
Carter's going to run it out of bounds. Tell you what, Odom took a big chance in that shove right there because he shoved him out of bounds. That could have been a personal foul.
Redshirt freshman. Quincy Carter shows you that ability to scramble. Purdue coach has said he's a lot like Michael Bishop, the Kansas State quarterback they played against last year in the Alamo Bowl.
Second down, Carter, quarterback draw, and not much there. Nugent took his feet out from under him, and then Odom came over the top. But now this is going to be a third down. And let's see where they're putting it down. He's still got about 10 or 11 yards for the first.
Good job reaction-wise by David Nugent and the defensive lineman of Purdue getting off blocks. All the wide receivers coming in for Georgia now. 5 wide receivers in the game.
12:30 left in our ball game. 25 Purdue, 18 Georgia.
Looks like down here at the bottom of the screen they got what they want.
Got the quick screen over the middle, not even close. Parker caught it. And then, I mean, Willie Fells was all over him.
Willie Fells, 10th on Purdue's career tackle list, came into the game with 330, just keeps adding to it.
Sutherland drops off as the single deep guy for Purdue. Remember, he was shaken up on that run a while ago. And by the way, that officially was a run and not a pass. That ball was thrown away from the line of scrimmage. So he was given credit for that of a rush rather than a pass reception. Good coverage kick, very high. And the spiral will not turn over. Made it just inside the 20, so let's take a break. 11:27 left in the ball game. 25-18 Purdue. I kind of agree with you, Travis. Cedric Brown, the lone setback. Breeze, the ball not caught. He was juggling the ball. Daniels was as he went out of bounds. You remember what happened last year in the Alamo Bowl? We had about 16 drops by the Purdue Boilermakers, and all of a sudden they've started juggling the football.
Right, go back to that kick, Ron. Again, we've seen our kickers or the kick returners shield their eyes. Vinny Sutherland one time lost track of the ball, and I think the official may have lost track of that football. Well, his back's to the receiver, or back to the referee that makes the call incomplete. Officials have been tired too.
Breeze just throws that one away, and now here comes a flag, and they're going to call intentional grounding. Bell with a great rush on the play, also Stroud.
They've shut Drew Brees down here, and you got to give credit to Georgia to stay in here and keep fighting. Kevin Ramsey with a good game plan in here. He stuck with it, tinkered with some adjustments.
Intentional grounding on the offense. Loss of down only. It is now 3rd down.
He's between the two of them. Third down coming up. And that play right there may be as big a play as this ball game has seen. Got it to Daniels.
You talk about a big play now right here.
Boy, they picked this one up. Vieira made the tackle, but it looks like it's good for 24 yards. Brees, short drop, quick looking pass, got it, back swing. That's good for another first down. What you got?
Go back to that ball game, and Jim Donnan that week was asked about the accuracy of Mike Bobo, and he said, I'm really concerned about him.
First and 10, here they come with the blitz. Picked up, and the ball, well, I'm not sure who that was intended for, whether it was A.T. Simpson or Randall Lane. Adrian, what do you have for us? I want to wish Mike all the luck in the world, as we said, going to Jacksonville State to become the quarterback coach there. His first jobs are fun, aren't they?
A lot of fun. He's trying now to figure out how to help his offense here.
Got it over the middle, close to 10 yards in the play, and now they've knocked him forward. The tackle on Dawson actually knocked him forward enough for the first down. He didn't have it before that contact.
And on that play, Drew Brees showed his arm strength of drilling that ball in there in the curl route.
Clock runs under 10 minutes left in the ball game. Brees pulls it down. He's going to run, and he fumbled, but the ball came out when he hit the ground. Tripped up by Grant, Orantes Grant. Now, if memory serves me correctly, since the last 2 drives in the first half and all of the second half, this part of the field, Purdue has navigated beautifully. But it's when they get down around the 20-yard line where Georgia has shut the door on them, and they have not been able to come away with points. The line to make is the 38-yard line, indicated by the ESPN First and 10, presented by A&D Athlon Processor. This one complete, and he'll fight his way forward for another first down. That's Robert Tolbert.
Ron, what Purdue, the tough thing about Purdue is when they get in a close formation set where the 2 wide receivers are together, they'll pick. And if you're in man coverage, they pick you off. Robert Tolbert.
Brees. Now he's going to go long. And Sutherland, boy, there's a lot of push in there and no flag. Lowe checks into the lineup. Number 29, Montrell, the redshirt freshman from LaPorte, Texas. Second down and 10. Boilermakers.
Take this one in the center.
The clock is down to 2. He gets sent backwards as quickly as he went into the line, and now it's going to be 3rd down and at least 10 for Purdue. Miller and man on the tackle.
Been noticing the snaps to Drew Brees, and the center's getting tired too, Niedrich, because the snaps are low for Drew Brees. It gives him a little bit longer to get that football up, and he's not ready to deliver as quick as he was in the first half.
Crowd comes to life. 9 of 15 on 3rd down conversions for Purdue. They need to take it to the 27.
Taking the blitz here.
Here comes Georgia. Got it away, and incomplete, and Breeze went down as Grant was all over it. Also Dustin Lucky.
This is a good move by Georgia right here. What they did is, when you bring in Stratton at the tight end back in the block, the line by Kevin Ramsey and Joe Kynes.
This is only the second punt by Purdue in this football game. Rogers, the punter, rears the deep man. Very high, good coverage kick, and Purdue is there, and they will catch the ball and down it at the 5-yard line. That's Sutherland. 33 yards and a kick. Let's take a break. 7:28 left in our game. Georgia down by 7 and an opportunity to come back and tie. So we're back 5.5 yards away from their own end zone following that 33-yard punt.
Ron, they've been successful running the quick screen, the out, faking the toss sweep one way and coming back with a quick screen. Let's see if they try to pull that out one more time.
Okay, you got Phillips on one side and you got Edwards on the other. This is their worst field position to start a drive of the day. Pass tripped up first by Adell. Adell got out and got a hand on him. Otherwise, he might have had a lot of running room. He's a senior out of Indianapolis. Going under 7 minutes left in the ballgame. Two tight ends, Johnson and McMichael. Carter sets in the end zone, deep over the middle, and almost intercepted, and it was caught by Johnson. Just took it away from him.
Great catch. Ralph Turner on the coverage. 6'6", 258 pounds. Javaris Johnson just snatched it out of the air.
A moment by Edwards, and he's going to be tackled for a loss. Joe Odom. Joe stayed at home, or at least was just in the zip code and made the tackle.
They had success running a reverse early in the ball game to Terrence Edwards for a touchdown. Tried to come back with another one right here. May have had more yardage if he just doesn't bobble the pitch is high. But you're right, Joe Odom stayed at home. Still looking for that quick screen.
Football will bounce strangely, won't it?
Both tight ends, two tight ends in the ball game, trying to work them against Purdue.
Sexty, pressure on him. Now he runs up into the pocket. Hit from behind, and he is going to be sacked by Adell. Well, actually, it's not a sack. He will pick up a couple of yards on the play. Now it's third down, Georgia. They've got to take it up to their own 40-yard line. Clock runs with 5:10, now 5:09 remaining in the ball game.
Ron, remember, Georgia spent some timeouts.
Yeah.
In this third quarter. They only have one left.
Georgia 3 of 9 on third down conversions. Got that middle screen. This is Greer. Breaks one tackle, breaks another. Flag is down as he is going to be hammered down at the 40-yard line by Dinkins. But let's go back and check the marker at the 33. It's a 32-yard gain if that flag is not against Georgia.
Offside on the defense. The penalties declined. The game's sufficient for a
Good protection by that offensive line, and he's got it to McMichael, the tight end. And the big freshman will have another first down, this time to the 26, and it's a gain of 13. Odom put the stop on him. Mike, I think by the time that McMichael graduates, he is going to be an All-American and maybe a couple of times. He is a really fine-looking athlete.
Yeah, I agree. They had two good tight ends, and then they graduated, and McMichael and Johnson. Give them the same kinds of players that they had here. Quincy Carter trying to win this quarterback deal.
Carter has hit his last 8 passes in a row. Make it 9. Caught by Edwards and all there. He clocked the defender, Hawthorne, at the same time. It's for a loss. See big Steve Herndon out there, the senior left guard. He was out front to block. Not much he could do because the corner was already on top of the play.
Again, the clock becomes a factor because of not having those timeouts. .308, 307. Carter on second down, pumped it once. Now goes incomplete at the 18, and he got his man turned around. LeBron Mitchell is Botts, number 42, Brent Botts, a junior from Cincinnati, was putting on pressure. Yeah, Botts is the backup defensive end. Purdue trying to get fresh people in there to chase the quarterback.
Yeah.
Tight ends have been effective here in the second half for Jim Donnan. You find McMichael again.
Georgia has only 1 timeout left, and both timeouts, as Mike said, came in the third quarter. They were confused on offensive 6.
2 tight ends right here, Tavares Johnson and McMichael.
He's looking for McMichael, and he dropped the football. Hit him right in the hands. Oh, boy, it is 4th down, Georgia. 25-18 Purdue. And the best storyline of this one so far, Drew Brees, 33 of 53, 355 yards, 4 touchdowns. Quincy Carter, 252 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Total yards, Purdue 514 and Georgia 347.
Ron, important here if you're Purdue that you have somebody on Quincy Carter. Find him on the rush, that if he takes off, that you do not allow him to pick up the first down running.
4th down. The line to make is the 16. They're 0 of 2 on 4th down tries today. Carter. Pressure is on. Drills it. Got it complete to Edwards. 1st and goal, Georgia inside the 10.
Boy, he threw that ball on a rope to Terrence Edwards. Good, strong arm by Quincy Carter. Terrence Edwards fell down, picked himself back up, and made the biggest catch of the season for Georgia.
That's a good way to decoy yourself. Edwards, 8 catches, 97 yards. Clock runs with 2 minutes and 27 seconds to play. Quarterback draw. Carter tackled at the 5, maybe just inside. Adell tripped him up.
Adell's had a good second half here for the Purdue defense. Made a lot of big plays. The Coffeyville Junior College transfer. Georgia with no timeouts left. They'd like to use all this clock and get in the end zone.
Here's where the quarterback size really plays in your favor. You could give it to him 4 straight times, just like now, and he can cover 5 yards.
Yeah, he's dangerous on the option right here. Purdue needs to think about using their timeouts. They got 3 left.
12th play of the drive. It started back at the 6-yard line. Here comes the option. I'm not sure he was down. That's a good call. His knee was on the ground before the pitch came. Botts was putting on pressure, but Randy Crystal, the referee, came running immediately, pointing his finger at the spot where the pitch was made, and his knee was on the turf.
Now Purdue's going to use a timeout, a twofold, Ron, to save themselves some time, but to get their defense huddled on the sideline. It's a defense that's worn down. They've been on the field most of the second half.
So let's take the timeout with them. 1:29 left, and leads it 25-18, and now the Georgia Bulldogs, with 1:29 left, trying to put it in the end zone and at least tie this one. What a drive. Started back at the 6-yard line, about the 5.5-yard line. Remember, Purdue caught the punt. They picked up the huge third down play over the middle. And now the 4th down catch by Edwards. And they stand with a 3rd down and goal.
That's what you expect out of great players. Quincy Carter, a great quarterback.
Rolls it to the left. Here comes pressure. Going to throw back over the middle, and it is tipped by McMichael. It was Fells who had the interception.
Rodney, Quincy Carter put that one up for grabs. They had a shot at it. McMichael again showing what a great player that he is.
At Hines to attempt the extra point. Got a good one, and we are tied. And there was a flag down.
Penalties on Purdue. Ron, Purdue still has 2 timeouts left. They used one, a defensive timeout. And we're in good position to intercept that football. Just let it go through their hands.
Well, the question that Purdue faithful has to be asking right now, that field goal that Dorsch protested so vehemently, and I'm not so sure that he wasn't right.
No, I agree.
Breeze 33 of 53, 355 yards, and that sets a new Outback record. 4 touchdowns. That ties the record. Brown got it complete to him, and he'll step out of bounds.
Pass complete.
Drew Brees trying to answer Quincy Carter.
Georgia's dropped off so deep with the secondary, which you would expect. It's going to be very, very hard, virtually impossible to get anything over the top of. Brees on 2nd down, drills this one complete for the touchdown, or for the 1st down. It's Randall Lane, and he'll take it to the 35.
As you said, Georgia's just trying to keep everything in front of them. Dorsch would like to have another chance to kick a field goal to win this one.
Well, his longest actually came in 1998 season. Twice he hit the field goal to 47 yards. Brees got this one, but couldn't hold on. Too tall. And out of bounds.
Pass intended for number 84, Randall Lane, incomplete. 2nd down.
Keep thinking about Purdue's chances in the first half to nail this one shut. And the big interception by Jamie Henderson, which turned the game. That was a 10-point swing.
Well, think about this. It all started also with a missed extra point. They haven't scored since then. That was early in the 2nd quarter. Brees almost picked off. Crowd wanted interference. I don't think so. I don't think he got there too soon.
Larry Mann on the coverage against Randall Lane.
Well, what you got to do right here is the place. You don't want to throw that driller either, because it gets tipped and then it's intercepted.
Maybe a draw play right here, or some safe pass by Drew Brees.
9 of 16 on 3rd down conversions. Brees had it hit on a shoulder pad. Chambers is the man who made the hit.
And now they got to punt the football, Ron.
That's what I'm talking about, and they got
42
time.
seconds.
Now, if I'm Purdue, I don't kick it to Patrick Pass because the difference that you have really seen is on special teams as far as speed in these two teams. I'd kick the ball out of bounds. I wouldn't care if it didn't go for 25 yards.
For Georgia, number 6, Patrick Pass, needs to receive the punt.
Georgia may come after this one.
26, Danny Rogers, the punt.
Kendall Bell has blocked 4 kicks. Number 37.
Beautiful spiral. Pass looking back over his shoulder. Actually tripped over his own guy at the 21-yard line. 53 yards in the kick and 9 on the return.
Number 7.
He wanted to throw that screen back to the other side, and the ball is incomplete. And Purdue did a nice job of having the defenders out there.
Yeah, number 11
Hawthorne.
was sitting back on Hawthorne. He knew he was trying to go back to Terrence Edwards.
Quincy looked over his shoulder once, then looked over it again. And Hawthorne was out there saying, okay, throw it. Nice job defensively.
That's what they're playing for.
Boomerang trophy.
Purdue's played a lot in the second half on defense in this second half. Their defense has spent themselves.
Quarterback draw by Carter.
He's going to let this clock run out right here and play to overtime. Purdue's going to make them force the timeout. Purdue goes back and looks at this tape, Ron. The many chances they had to put this game away early in the ball game.
20 of 31 for 243 yards and a touchdown by Quincy Carter. Dinkins in hot pursuit, and that pass well overthrown. In fact, it just went into the Purdue bench. Touchdown. They went for 2, failed. 4th touchdown, went for 2, and failed on that.
Nobody back for Purdue. They're going to rush 11.
And he just ran over the kicker.
Willie Fells, number 40.
Willie Fells. Willie's trying to say that the ball that he tipped it. only thing that Willie tipped was the punter, and he tipped him right over. Knocked him flat.
It'll give you the ball up to about the 35. Now you need to start thinking about one play, one Hail Mary play, and I'm sure Jim Don is starting to think about overtime also. They may turn this penalty down.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker on the defense. It'll be a 15-yard penalty. The game will be extended by 1 play.
So, Ron, you just hang one up here if you want to take a shot.
Well, why not? Because if there's another defensive penalty,
and you get a chance for a field goal.
actually wind up having to, they'd have to have a couple of plays with a couple of penalties because half Hines,
because
his longest
rule,
is what?
College rule.
54 yards. Georgia with what should be the final play of the game unless there is another penalty on the defense. That ball is tipped and almost intercepted. Odom cut in front. Good heavens, he would have, well, he's not that fast. He wouldn't have walked in, but he could have been headed in the right direction with nobody around him. Whoa.
Quincy trying to throw the quick screen over there on the left.
We talked about our the marquee players, the ones that were garnering the headlines, were the ones that were talked about from the day this matchup was announced. That was the two quarterbacks, and neither has disappointed. No. Neither has disappointed.
Been a great ball game.
So Purdue will go on offense first.
They've had success at this end of the field.
Throwback screen, and that ball is tipped, and I'll tell you what, Orantis Grant was very, very close. If you turn the ball over in overtime, for all intent and purposes, you're just about roasted. You're just about done. They can come right to the line of scrimmage. The other team can kick a field goal in your history.
Drew Brees has not been sharp in the second half.
No, he really hasn't.
He's been off.
I don't know if the long halftime, what it was, if his arm stiffened up or what. His total number is 35 of 59, 370 yards and 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Brees is sacked. Millard.
He's the player that Georgia figures is going to be able to get the best pass rush. Makes the hit on Drew Brees, and now Purdue in dire straits. Well, you got to give credit to Kevin Ramsey. You know, people talked, and Adrian talked about the tough finish that they had, but I tell you, this defense has stayed in here. Kevin has done a marvelous job today keeping this team with a chance to win.
3 sacks, only had 12 all season. Throws it underneath to Daniel, and Daniel's going to be stopped at the 26, and now it's 4th down. And Purdue, if they want to stay alive, they got to pick up 11 yards or go for the field goal right here. And it looks as though Travis Dorsch is coming out.
Yeah, this is the reason you want to go on defense first. You want to make them make the decision so you know what you've got to do when you get to football.
Danny Rogers, who was the punter, is the holder, and he'll place it down at the 33-yard line. So it's a 43-yard attempt. Way wide right. The kicking game has really kicked Purdue today. That wasn't even close, Mike.
No. And you get the sack, get a good play by the defense, sets up the offense now with a chance to win it.
Cap Hines on the sideline, and Georgia knows that right now they are sitting in the catbird seat. Patrick Patton breaks one tackle, breaks a second, and down the sideline will be stopped at the 15. But maybe the last play you see by the offense, we may see Cap Hines right now.
I think, Ron, they'll try to get the ball in the middle of the field, though, a little bit more. Get the ball in the left hash, try to set a play up where you get it in the middle of the field.
Pass the lone setback. So let's see where they're going to step him out at around the 5-yard line. Hawthorne pushed him out.
They are having their way now with Purdue's defense. Purdue's a tired defensive football team. They're running the football to the left side of the line behind Jonas Jennings, Steve Herndon, and Miles Lucky. Donnan doesn't want to let it ride on a field goal.
And McMichael just walked toward the bench and pretended as though he was kicking, and they hollered and said, "Get back in the huddle." Robert Arnaud is the only setback this time. Quarterback draw. Carter will have 1 yard, and I think he's going to have enough for the first down, which means it'll be 1st and goal as Odom came up to stop him.
Red box.
SEC football team just hung around here, Ron, with a chance to win.
Will you stop and think, as I mentioned, on the second touchdown, the missed extra point, that started everything.
Right.
If he kicks every extra point, that's 28. And regardless of what combinations Georgia would have come up with, they could not have sent this game to overtime. Patrick pass close to the 3. Botts is down on the bottom of the stack.
That's set up for the field goal right now if Jim Donnan wants to take it. Yep, he's going to take it right now. He set it up perfect.
So Hines with an opportunity to win this for the Georgia Bulldogs. 21 yards.
Purdue's got a timeout they could use right here.
He got it. And the Georgia Bulldogs score 28 unanswered points and shot Purdue after being down 25-0. And they win in overtime on Hines' 21-yard field goal. One more look as Hines knocks it home, and the Georgia Bulldogs, as I mentioned, score 28 unanswered points. That's the largest comeback in school history, including bowl games. They trailed 21-0 to Virginia in last year's Peach Bowl, and they won that one 35-33. But this one today, they were down 25-0. And as Mike said, just hung around, and they have just won this 2000 version of the Outback Bowl.
Ron, give Jim Donnan credit for an offensive game plan the second half. Kevin Ramsey, the defensive coordinator, the adjustments he made in the second half, the first 4 drives ended up in touchdowns for Purdue. He showed